and
We will never apologize for our free press, sir. It is not religion, it's Islam. See Christians running around blowing themselves up now, do I?
And the message I'm getting is that certain things are off limits.
Yes.
Just plain off limits.
Van Gogh can be murdered.
You know, Danes should be chopped into little pieces.
Right.
Which, I mean, puts a frightening aspect. And I know no one here supports that kind of extremism.
No.
No one speaks on
Except for the panel sitting right in front of you, sir.
But that kind of thing casts a pall over those of us who really wish to promote and defend freedom of expression as something that, in a sense, should trump any other consideration in human relationships. Yes, if you yell fire in a crowded theater, you better make sure you're not standing in the doorway. Yeah, well, you know, that brings me to a point, and what's happening now. I mean, we've had an event where unprecedented and
so apparently, being critical of Islam is the same as screaming fire in a movie theater. The fire being Islam. Don't you dare criticize Islam. What neighborhood do you live in, sir?
That should be off limits to the press. You want to respond?
What is acceptable discourse and what is perceived as something that is a norm in society is done when an actor makes a speech and people either decide to attempt to check that speech in some sort of a way or to allow that speech to go ahead. The idea that an unfettered freedom of expression should be believed in as a deity over the beliefs of all other communities and all other approaches to freedom of speech is a fallacy.
What is another approach to freedom of speech? How can you have two approaches to freedom of speech, sir?
Cartoonists are free to express what they would like to express
yes.
any time they would like to express it. And when we put together a press conference asking governments to put cartoonists in jail, right, it would be very fair for you to say that we are attempting to inhibit that speech. When there are as many cartoonists on the street of the world protesting the reaction of governments
where in hiding
that are saying, hey, wait a minute, this is over the edge.
Islamophobia in today's ideological jihad.
But it's over the edge. Now, if cartoonists are going to draw cartoons that would be the essential equivalent of screaming fire in a crowded theater, then they would be engaging in...
What have moderate Muslims done with the unmistakable evidence that jihad terrorists are working within mainstream Islamic traditions and using the Quran and Muhammad's example to exhort Muslims to wage war against unbelievers? Have they clearly and definitively rejected the teachings of the jihadists as being incompatible with any 21st century version of Islam? Have they confronted and refuted the jihadists' quotations of the Quran and Islamic tradition? Have they represented an alternative vision of Islam that will be convincing enough to compete with the jihadists' pure Islam in the global battle for Muslim minds? By and large, the answer to all these questions is no. Instead, moderate Muslims have invented Islamophobia. Guess what? The UN has condemned Islamophobia while turning a blind eye to atrocities committed by jihadists. 2. The charge of Islamophobia is used to intimidate and silence critics of violent jihad in Islam. 3. Some groups are even trying to brand those who tell the truth about Islam and jihad as purveyors of hate speech.
In a democratic society, you have to have free speech. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that one cannot respond to free speech that one views as being offensive. It's quite simple. Yes.
How do you find it offensive? Do you not find murder offensive? Is this your big issue for your community and your religion? Listen to me very carefully. You will behave, or you will be slaughtered. Do you understand? You will allow us to breathe, or we will not allow you to breathe. Do you understand? Your boot will not be on our necks. You are just going to piss us off. Defamation. At the UN, a new word for the political manipulation, Islamophobia. No one had heard of Islamophobia just a few short years ago, but here was a long time for a well-oiled propaganda machine. Now this concept, vague and ultimately empty, is taken seriously at the highest levels. In December 2004, Kofi Annan presided over the UN seminar on Islamophobia, explaining with his best PC straight face,
and the West didn't say a word. The American Muslim community was calling out about the genocide of Muslims.
when the world is compelled to coin a new term, Christ.
To ensure that Christian communities are not subject to genocide.
When the world is compelled to coin a new term to take account of increasingly widespread bigotry, that is a sad and troubling development. Ooh, it's a sad and troubling development that you fucking bureaucrats who do nothing just watch genocide go by, country after country, that you came up with a new word and a new cause? Yeah, it's a real sad fucking thing. My heart bleeds for you, fuckface. Fucking murderer. Such is the case with Islamophobia. The word seems to have emerged in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Today, the weight of history and the fallout of recent developments have left many Muslims around the world feeling aggravated and misunderstood, concerned about the erosion of their rights and even fearing for their physical safety. The UN's focus not unexpectedly stayed mostly on the aggravated, misunderstood Muslims, with no questions raised about the Islamic roots of jihad terrorism. Nor was there any discussion of the compatibility of Islam with universally accepted ideas of human rights as embodied in the UN's own 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
There's really a need to, I think, the State Department communique, which is in your packet, we're right on target.
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Islamic Responses. We have already seen the Iran Shiki Tabandeh published an Islamic critique of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Islamic world has seen fit to formulate two major responses to this document: the 1981 Universal Islamic Declaration of Human Rights and the 1990 Cairo Declaration on Human Rights in Islam. Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which we owe to the courageous Charles Malik of Lebanon, states, "Everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religions. This right includes freedom to change his religion or belief." You'll find no analogy guarantees of the freedom to change one's religion in either of the Islamic declarations. Indeed, we have seen traditional Islamic law mandates the death penalty for those who leave Islam. What's more, the Cairo Declaration states, "Everyone shall have the right to advocate what is right and propagate what is good, and warn against what is wrong and evil according to the norms of Islamic Shira."
That would be how things should run their course. We are not asking anyone.
By focusing on Islamophobia instead of the unpleasant realities of Islam, the UN dishonors past and present victims of jihad terror and colludes with terrorists. Although this stance is born of political correctness and a pituitive concern to prevent vilification of innocent Muslims, it actually prevents honest attempts by Muslims and non-Muslims to address the actual sources of jihad terror and find some way to turn Muslims away from the path of violence. What is Islamophobia anyway? Journalist and the Islamic apologist Stephen Schwartz defines Islamophobia this way. Notwithstanding the arguments of some Westerners, Islamophobia exists. It is not a myth. Islamophobia consists of attacking the entire religion of Islam as a problem for the world, condemning all of Islam and its history as extremist, denying the active existence in the contemporary world of a moderate Muslim majority, a very silent majority if I may say so, insisting that Muslims accede to the demands of non-Muslims based on ignorance and arrogance for various theological changes in their religion, treating all conflicts involving Muslims, including, for example, that the Bosnia Herzegovina a decade ago, as the fault of Muslims themselves, or the fuck you pronounce that, inciting war against Islam as a whole. While there may be, by this definition, some Islamophobes in the world, Schwartz actually obscures more than he reveals, thus labeling as Islamophobic the practice of attacking the entire religion